Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this fingraphs.com podcast on Dukascoin TV. Today we're going to look at cryptocurrencies and especially Ethereum, which has seen quite a nice rebound over the last week or so. So we first start with the daily graph of Ethereum. So Ethereum was very overbought in May and had reached all our targets to the upside. Our envelopes were touching each other. The risk index was indeed in the overbought zone. And we did see this very, very strong correction into the third week of May. Now we are trying to rebound, and it seems like our trend indicators are back in an uptrend with a bull signal here. So let's analyze this. We do see our corrective targets to the upside, which are now pointing to a possible range, which we've met at the lower end already, and which has a higher end around 3,140. This basically means that as long as we stay below these 3,140, we are probably still in a corrective move. And as the risk index is still very much in the middle of the range and could still drop lower, we do believe that we're probably going to see a second leg down on Ethereum. This second leg down could lead us, in our view, down to 1,500. Yet that 3,140 doesn't leave us very much leeway, given that Ethereum has been very volatile and dynamic to the upside and the downside over the last few months. The hourly graph also pictures the strong correction that we saw during May. Was very oversold here on the 23rd and started to bounce. Was oversold again here on the 31st and then started to bounce again. And we're quite in a dynamic rebound. Now we do believe that it looks like a B wave in Elliott terms at the moment, and that we are currently in quite a dynamic C. We're moving up, and in our view, as long as we stay below 3,424, which is probably a better pivot point than what we saw on the daily, because the pivot point was quite close and the move doesn't seem over. As long as we stay below this pivot point, we would probably have a strong probability to start a new leg down and resume lower towards lower lows. So that's what we will be monitoring over the next few days. Correction up, which may last into early, perhaps mid next week, and which as targets would have a strong resistance around 3,424. If we do manage to break above these, and especially if we do it quite dynamically, then we're probably not going to see new lows on Ethereum. If we do have a stall around those levels or below them, we're probably in for another quite a strong correction over the next month or so on Ethereum. To confirm this, or to give ourselves a bit more scope, we look at Bitcoin. And Bitcoin on this weekly graph on this investment view, pictures a weekly graph for the perspective over the next few quarters. We can see that we were in a very strong exaggeration on our envelopes, and we have since corrected this exaggeration with the strong sell-off that we've seen. If we look at the daily graph or the perspective over the next few months, we can see that we've had a very nice topping structure here, which we may call a head and shoulder, but at least we were quite overbought here on our risk index and then diverged for a month or so. We have since initiated a correction, and for now this correction, although we have met a first support point with both envelopes touching each other, doesn't seem over. The risk index is not oversold yet, and our targets to the downside are pointing to a range between 22,000 and potentially 9,000. Now, we don't want to be catastrophic, so our view is probably that we make it down to the mid-20s within this correction. Now, if we look at the hourly graph, and it differs a bit from Ethereum, although it has a similar structure, it differs in the fact that the rebound is much less dynamic here. It did find an oversold situation here on the 23rd, is attempting to rebound, but for now the rebound is still very low in terms of scope compared to what we've seen on the downside during the first weeks of May. We've calculated the resistance here of our corrective targets to the upside, which is around 46,000. So our view is that as long as Bitcoin doesn't make it above 46,000, we will probably see another leg down, and that leg down could lead us into the mid-20s over the next few weeks. So Ethereum looks quite strong, but we've set some pivot points which we think are important, and Bitcoin seems to tell us that it's only a rebound and that we will resume lower and probably towards new lows over the next few weeks. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a good week of trading.